We are starting our section of database management systems with our SQL now. So far, we've gone through ER mapping, relational models, and SQL programming, and here's some information about SQL history. We need in our SQL3 a core and extensions. Extensions are just optional models such as data mining and etc. that'll help us with our code. We also have later updates, but we're not going to go too much into that. What we are going to go into is creating a table and also attribute data types and domains in SQL so that we can start our code. With this, creating a table specifies a new base relation by giving it a name and specifying each of its attributes and their data types. A constraint not null may be specified on an attribute. So if we say not null, it means that this constraint, we don't want it to be null. Now you can see that these are all uppercase. Sometimes it's case sensitive, sometimes it's case insensitive. It just depends, but it is better to just watch the cases. So always just stay consistent with your casing. Predefined things like char or char with the uppercase or integer or lowercase integer will not really matter because they are already defined by the system. So you don't have to worry about those, but consistency is best. The parentheses are a domain, so it's like what domain is allowed inside. This is probably like a character of 10, character of 9, character of 9, and then for like an integer we could also have a domain, but we'll go over this in this next example down here. So if we have a specific primary key regarding referential integrity constraints are foreign keys. We have key attributes, which are primary key and unique phrases, so those are key. Now we have this little table right here. So we have a create table department. We want to create a table department, and then in parentheses we are going to have what we're creating. So we have our department name, we have our var char, so the variable char, and it's going to be size 10, and it can't be null. Next we have our department number. It's going to be an integer, check, and then we are going to have this line underneath it. Now this is a domain right here. So we have a not null check, or D number has to be greater than 0, and D number has to be less than 21. So the department number is going to be in this range, and that's just underneath this line. If it says not null, the input cannot be null. So notice how we said integer, not null check. Well, this check is checking this last part, and this not null is saying that our integer, the department number, cannot be null. And this can be for like the user specified circumstance, what they're asking for the customer. With the check right here, we are specifying the information that can be let in. For foreign key, if there are multiple keys, just like the primary and unique, we'd separate them with commas and have them in the same order respectively. And that's going to be it for our create table. Next, we are going to look at our attribute data types and domains in SQL. So numeric, we have integer, uppercase, or just int. We have float or real. We have decimal, dec, or numeric, and these are like our ij. I is the total number of decimal digits. J is the number of digits after the decimal point. So I, the first part, is going to be all the digits we can have in here, so the placement. J is going to be how many we can have after the decimal. We have our character string. This is going to be a fixed length. We have our char, or character. We have our varying length. So if it's not a fixed length, var char, or variable char, is going to be one that can vary in its length, so it can change. We have our booleans, which we know are true and false, and then we have our date. Now date is going to be year, month, day, in the form of year, month, day, and this is probably 4 Ys, and this could probably be like 2 months, and this is like day, something like this. And then we have our time, which is hour, minute, second, and this is in the form HH, MM, and SS. So basically opposite to how at least I usually write it. And that's going to be it for attribute data types and domain in SQL, and also our create table, and just a little bit of history with our database management systems, SQL. Next, we're going to be looking at our referential integrity option.